I was out with my son by a spot where we had some success catching fish in the past. It takes a little effort to get to, but it has some payoffs in catching some medium-sized catfish. It was about 7:30 p.m. and we were packing up our gear when we heard something that sounded like train brakes. The problem was there was no train going by at the moment. When a train goes by, you usually feel it going by. You also hear it approaching. On this day, it was quiet with the occasional sound of trucks or cars going about. We heard the sound again and saw something fly from our left towards some trees on the other side of the river. We thought it looked like a giant bird, but it was solid black. Within a minute, we heard the sound again and saw this thing fly straight up and over the bridge and heading down the river. This thing was unlike any bird we have ever seen in our lives, and it had to be about the size of a full-grown man. It had wings that must have been 10 feet from tip to tip. It flew up and out of sight within seconds. We couldn't really get many details as this thing flew like a literal bat out of hell, and it was still on the other side of the river. We stood there and watched it fly away. I was just blown away, but then my son piped up and said he had read about some giant bat sightings that have occurred in Chicago lately. Maybe this was one of them. We packed up our gear and went and got the hell out of there as fast as we could. We didn't want this thing to come back and see us there, as we were not supposed to be there fishing in the first place. Later that night, my son showed me the websites where the reports were listed, and that led me to report this sighting. I'm sorry I couldn't give you more details on this thing, but frankly, I thank my lucky stars that we weren't close enough to see any details. There was another sighting in the area a little over a week later. I was out with my son in the park about 8 p.m. walking the trail, as we have since he was about 6 years old. We were talking about what was going on within our lives and what our plans were for the upcoming summer. We were overflown by what I thought was a large goose, as we have seen multiple geese flying around the city and suburbs within the last couple of months. As we watched, it quickly became apparent that this was not a goose, but something much bigger. I can describe it as a large bat, but it had a distinct human figure, about 6 feet in height per my estimates. It was blackish in color and had an enormous pair of wings that must have been 8 to 10 feet in width. My son was in complete shock and asked me what the thing was. My response was an equally surprised, I don't know. This bat flew up and over the field house and towards where the tennis courts would be. I heard a couple yell out in surprise as this bat flew out of view. The entire encounter lasted about 30 seconds from the initial sighting to flying out of sight. I estimated the speed of this bat to be at least 40 to 50 miles per hour, and it would be at least 15 to 20 feet above us, as it was just over top the streetlights. It was dusk, but the sun had just started to set, so there was enough light to still get a good view of the object as it flew overhead. I was able to get a general description as it flew over us at speed that prohibited getting any finer details of it. We went around the field house and tried to see if we could see anything on the other side, but did not get any views of this creature. The rest of the evening went without incident, and I only decided to report this after reading some similar sightings within the city online.